Hello, everyone. Welcome on this Friday evening or morning, depending on where you are. We hope to see you from all around the world here at Encode. How's everyone doing today? Feel free to drop a GM in the chat and say where you are calling from just while we let people in. I think we will get started with the introductions. So firstly, I'll introduce myself. I'm Jamie, and I am a PM program manager at Encode Club, and I am the PM for the next video build hackathon sponsored by Livepeer. And today we have one of our partners with us today to give a great presentation, and we have Akshit from Huddle01, and he's going to be giving a talk on how to build real-time communication dApps using Huddle01's SDKs. So without further ado, I will pass over to Akshit. How are you doing, Akshit?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. And I guess I will pass the floor over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm glad to be here. So I'll start with an introduction of myself. So I'm Akshit. I'm the founding dev at Huddle01, which is a Web3 video conferencing solution. And we're aspiring to build this video conferencing solution, which is for the Web3 native people. And today I'll be giving a talk on the SDK infrastructure that we have at Huddle. So we've recently launched two SDKs at Huddle. One is the iframe SDK and other one is the client SDK. So we'll be going ahead with creating two example apps, and I'll start with explaining the infrastructure first and just giving a little demo of the product. Right. So I'll just share my screen. Awesome. So yeah, this is Huddle. And if you haven't tried out the product before, you can just go to huddle01.com and start with Huddle now. So for to use the SDKs, you first need to be a little familiar with the platform. So I'll give a quick demo. So what you can do is that you can go ahead and connect your wallet. If I'll just disconnect once, and you'll have this option to connect your wallet. So I'll just go ahead and connect it with MetaMask for now. And yeah. Then you can even set some avatars for yourself. Like if you have any NFTs in your wallet, you can go ahead and select that and join the meeting. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to use this platform to build our own own iteration of Huddle01. So you can use the infrastructure that Huddle holds, and you can build your own video conferencing or a metaverse of sorts where you can leverage the Huddle01 infrastructure. So yeah, so I'll get started with the infra part for now. So yeah. So this is the Huddle01 platform, and what it's doing is that this is leveraging our own SDK itself. So we have our Huddle01 client SDK, which you can find on npm. Okay. And this client SDK is actually powering the Huddle app. So what you can do is that you can, sorry for this, one sec. Yeah, so you can just npm install the Huddle client SDK and get started with building your own video conferencing solution. So we have two of them. If you go on to docs.huddle01.com, then you can find the related things. So you can just give this a quick read once you land on this page and get familiarized with the Huddle app, and you'll be good to go. So what's happening is that this is the Huddle app, and it's being powered by the Huddle client. So you have two options to build your application. So if you're using the iframe SDK, then what you can do is this is your option one. Say you have your app, it has a header. Let's say something like home, about, etc. And then you have your footnote over here. So you can just use the Huddle app as an iframe inside your app by installing the Huddle iframe npm package, and then you can leverage your app that way. Otherwise, the other option is that you build your app from scratch, and you can just use the Huddle client methods to, create your own conferencing solution. Say rather than the square viewports, you have some circle viewports in your app, and you can just use our client methods to generate a similar app. So this Huddle client would power this app. And for iframes, you have a separate package called Huddle01 iframe, and this can be used to make such an app. All right. So what we'll do is we'll get started with the docs and build our way from there. So you can just go to the CLI tool. So we have a CLI tool which makes it easier for you to generate, simple applications powered by the SDKs. So you have to do nothing. You can just copy this command npx create huddle01 and get started with that. So I'll open my terminal over here. And before showing this, I'll get started with a simple app from scratch. Then we'll come to the CLI tool later. So this is the iframe SDK, and I'll be using Byte to generate the app for this. So I have this directory. I'll just remove this for now and generate a new app. Let's use yarn instead, and I'll call it iframe example, and we'll use TypeScript for this. I'm using yarn to install the dependencies for it. You can either use any package manager of your choice, be it pnpm or npm, and I'll open it in VS Code. So we'll follow the guide, the docs guide. I think you're with me so far, right? Any questions? Okay, seems like there's an issue with my VS Code, but that's all right. What we'll do is that we'll just generate one application using the CLI tool instead. So that will be much easier. So you can just paste in this command, and it will give you a prompt to generate an app using the Huddle SDK. So you can name your app. Let's call it iframe SDK app, and you'll have an option to choose either the client SDK or the iframe SDK. So we'll use iframe for now, and I'll say yes to TypeScript to generate an app. So the app has been created, and you can go into the SDK app which we just created and install the dependencies. And if I open this in the file manager, as you can see, we have these files, which is a React app built using Byte, and it has been generated with all the config. So I'll just run this, and as you can see, the app has been generated for you. So what you can do is you can go ahead and make changes to this app accordingly, and it will let you control the Huddle application programmatically using the buttons. So if you go to the SDK docs in the iframe part, as you can see, all this part has been done already for you if you use the CLI tool, which just takes a second to generate the app. And to use the methods, all you need to do is just import Huddle iframe app from the package, and then you can call certain methods to it. So what we've done over here is that to these buttons, all these methods are linked. I'll just show this to you on GitHub instead. So if you go into the app tsx part, you can see all these methods are being imported from the Huddle iframe. And what you can do is that you can run all these methods from the buttons over there. So on the on click of a particular button, you can call the methods like send reaction and whatever the methods that are included in the docs over here. So that will power your SDK. So I'll just give a quick demo. I'll enter the meeting, and rather than enabling and disabling my mic from the particular web app, I could just programmatically access that app using the methods. So if I enable my webcam, it will work over here, and so on. And if I enable my share, and that's how it will work. So this is the iframe app, and there are many examples of this app as well, like some of our clients that are using. So I'll just to give you an idea, I'll show you one which our uh, client is using. So this is orbits.live. They've created a metaverse of sorts where they're leveraging the iframe SDK. So if you go to this, this is a particular iframe that they're using for from Huddle, and it will just load up in a second or two. So yeah, so this what they've done is that they've customized the iframe to have a transparent background, and then they can enter the meeting, and it matches their app as well. So this is how they're leveraging the iframe SDK. Then we also have our Meet with wallet using it. So they've leveraged it in a very good way. Like they have added a light and dark theme to it. So this is very creative. We are expecting to see some cool projects like these. And yeah, so this is the iframe SDK part. And I'll go ahead and open the client SDK too. So if you want much more customization than the iframe, like you want a UI of your own and you want much more flexibility in your app, then you can leverage the client SDK. So what the client SDK does is that it just gives you a Huddle client, and with this you can connect to the Huddle servers and leverage the infrastructure over there and create your own application. So I'll go ahead and give a demo of that too. So if I say npx create Huddle01, then I'll get a prompt again for to name the project, and I'll call it client SDK example. And I'll say yes to TypeScript, and we've generated the application. You can go ahead and install the dependencies with your package manager of choice and run the app. So before running the app to access the client SDK, you also have to get your API key from the docs. So to get that, you can connect your wallet using any of these. And I'll just go ahead and do this. And if you wait a second, you'll get your API key. So I won't show this one now. You can generate your own API key and plug it into the client SDK. So if you go to the package, I'll show you where you have to put the client API key, and then you can move forward from there. So when you're getting the client API key, you have to plug it in the get Huddle client. So what you can do is that you can put the API key inside of your environment file, a variable file, and import it from there and leverage the client from there. So I'll go ahead and explain the code from over on here, and we'll also explore the docs as well. So if you're new to React, I'd recommend that you read up on React's documentation first. So it will be much more easier for you to understand this. But if you're familiar with React, then this should be very smooth. So you can, if you're building it from scratch, then you can just add the Huddle client dependency and follow this guide through. Otherwise, you can, if you're using the CLI tool, then it will be good to go. So the one that I've showed you just now is from the CLI tool, and I can say yarn dev, and it will open the app. So this is the client example app, and you can make changes accordingly to create an application of your own. So the instructions over here are given. So if you wanna, to operate the particular example app, so I'll just enable my stream from here, and I can join the room. It will ask for my mic, and that's given. Then after that, I'll add another peer to the room. So I'll click join, and this particular, the first peer will get a request for the another peer. So you have to allow that peer to join, and then you'll have both the peers join the meeting. So this is how it's working, and I'll explain the code now. So if you're using the CLI tool, then it will be very easy to do. But to make changes, you'll have to understand how the code works. So before deep diving into the code, I'll explain the architecture of how this is working. Let's go over here. Yeah. So this is the Huddle client package, and we have two sections over here. So this is the state. Um, this is the state, and we're using the stand for the state to handle that. And then we have the Huddle client library. So in this state, all your states for the application are stored. So I could get like is cam paused. So this is a boolean which gives you access to if the mic is on or off. Then we have a similar state called is mic paused, and you can have access to these from the docs. So this is the state management, and to get access to these, we have a custom hook that we've made called use root store. So if you're familiar with Redux or like normal React, we have some certain hooks. So this hook is leveraged. You can use this hook to get states from it, and even get methods that you can call. So to show this in action, as you can see, we have the stream that we're getting from the root store. And I'd recommend that not to destructure any variables from that. Otherwise, you'll run into state management bugs, and do this separately for each particular variable. So to get any variable from this root store, all you need to do is you can grab the stream over here. Is there any disturbance from my side?
Yeah, there's a little bit of background noise.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll just sort that out.
In the meantime, guys, feel free to start adding some questions to the chat, because we're going to have a Q&A straight after the tutorial. So yeah, feel free to start formulating your questions for Akshit to answer.
Yeah, sorry for the disturbance. Okay, looks like we have some questions. Okay, will it be one-on-one meet in the Huddle app? Yeah, multiple people can join it. That won't be a problem. Like I'll show you even if you'd like. So if I enable my stream from here, over here, and I'll open one new tab, stream. So as you can see, we have two peers in the lobby, and I can allow the peers to join, and you'll have a multiple people meeting. And this is very optimized. Like if you're if you've used WebRTC before and you're doing a one-on-one meet, then it works. But for multiple years, it has some performance issues. But we've handled that on our side. So with our infrastructure, you'll be able to do it smoothly. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Looks like we're good. I'll continue with the tutorial. Yeah. Yeah, so the use root store is a hook that gives you access to all the state in the application. So when you join a huddle meeting with the join function, the state gets updated subsequently. So yeah, then the use root store hook can be used to access that state. And then we have some methods inside the Huddle client, which are used to toggle these states and even interact with the Huddle client server. So if you go to the docs, just close this. So we have certain methods over here, like we have the join meeting method, which you can pass your, if you're you have a Web3 app, then you can even put the address of the user and it will create a profile of sorts. And they can then they can put their PFPs and avatar as avatar URLs and so on. So these are the methods, and you can browse through these methods to to uh, put actions into your web app. So like you can see, we have change avatar URL, so you can even put an uh, image for it. And if you like have an NFT avatar, then it will give you then it will, like in the Huddle app, if you're using the iframe, it will give you a hexagon icon. So yeah, that's how it's working. And go back to the docs. One sec, I'll just clean my tabs a little. Yeah. So yeah. So this is the one I just showed you, the use root store. You could either use the use root store hook, or we've actually updated it to use Huddle store. So this is the same thing. So you can probably use this one. And the use Huddle client context is another hook that we've provided to if you want to access the Huddle client inside of any component, you can just use this client context. If you've used the context API in React, then you're probably familiar with a similar implementation. So you can just import this from the hooks sub package in the Huddle client, and then you can call the particular methods inside the Huddle client. So yeah, and then if you're using TypeScript, we also have some types defined. Then and this talk will also be updated further. And yeah. So to have access to the Huddle client in any component, you have to wrap the particular component inside the provider as well, which is provided inside the Huddle package. So this is the Huddle client provider, which you can import from here, and you have to wrap it up before executing any commands from the Huddle client. As you can see that we have this mute mic method given here. So yeah. And yeah, so I'll explain the flow of this application, the example app, how it's going. So what we have here is this, as you can see, this is the viewport that is being rendered. So this viewport is my own viewport. And to see this, what you can do is that you can just grab the stream from the root store and use it to power your own video ref. So I've created a video ref which is pointing towards a video tag. I'll show that as well. So this is the video tag in which my own video is being rendered. So it's showing that this is cam pause. So if my cam is paused, then it won't show this particular video tag. It's being conditionally rendered. And if your cam is on, then the video ref will send the stream to the video HTML element. So that's being done by the use effect. You can probably find a better way to do this, but this is just an example. So yeah, that's that. And if any peer joins the meeting, that person will be logged in the console and you can see the particular states. So that's how that's going. And then once the person has enabled their webcam, which is via this Huddle client.enable webcam function, the stream gets stored in the state and you can access it anywhere in the app. And then after that, you can just join the meeting using the Huddle client.join function, which we created. And from the disable webcam, as the name suggests, you can disable your cam in the meeting whenever you want. And yeah, so if you want access to the peers who want to join the meeting and they have clicked on the join meet button but are still in the lobby, you can access those peers from the state as well. So that's what we're doing over here. So all the lobby peers, whoever has clicked on the join meet and are waiting, can be accessed through here. And the peer ID is the ID of the particular peer that you have. Like I have joined this meeting, right? So the peer ID of this particular person would be accessed through this state. So this is how it's working. And peers is a map which we've created. So whenever a peer joins the meeting, it will be stored in the state. So you can get access to all these variables from there. So it's pretty straightforward. And I think you can build really beautiful apps with this. And yeah, we've also created a audio element. If you want to check it out, it's in the example app. It makes it very easy to handle all the audio and video states and the streams. So if you want to check that out, you can go ahead with that. And yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Then you can just get your API key from here and you can get started with building. And I'll even show you some examples of the person, like the client SDK that people have built in the past. So these are the client SDK examples. So there's a person like this is a project called Parallax, I believe, which have leveraged the client SDK to create their own platform, and they've used the chat functionality from us. Then they can just send the chat and have a town hall over here, and they live stream using the Huddle, which is also powered by Livepeer. So you can even stream videos via it. So the video would be rendered here, and the people can have a town hall meeting and live stream it. So this is how it's working. And then there was this application built in one of the hackathons, which leveraged the Huddle Client SDK as well. So this was a chess app, and the players inside the app could play and as well as video conference over it. So these are some of the creations that have been done using the Huddle client. And yeah, looking forward to seeing good projects over. Yeah. Any other questions? If someone has.
Thank you very much, Akshit, for the presentation. It was super interesting. Yeah, everyone, let's open up the floor to questions now. So you can either write them in the chat or ask them live. Whilst people are thinking of their questions, I will go with one I have, which is, what are your top tips for using Huddle01 for the first time?
Sure. So if you're like you've started with it for the first time, then I would recommend that you go check out the Huddle01 app and get familiarized with it, because the Huddle client SDK was built actually for the Huddle app, and then it was an internal package, and we made it public, and to so that people can get access to it. So the first step would be to get familiarized with the Huddle01 app, and then you can go ahead and use the CLI tool, because in a single command you can generate very powerful apps using that.
Awesome. And we saw some great examples of projects such as the chess one. If you were building in this hackathon, what sort of projects would you be interested in building using Livepeer and Huddle?
So like I'd probably build a metaverse. Like I've recently been fiddling around with 3D, 3JS worlds. So if there's a walkable room where people can move around and have a have a auditorium where people can sit and watch streams together, that'd be pretty cool.
Awesome. And any final questions, guys? Pop them in the chat. Yes, this class is recorded and we will hopefully send you a link within the next 24 hours or so. Last chance for questions, guys. Otherwise, we will start to wrap things up there. And you can always put your questions in the Discord server where there will be sort of technical support, or you can book a one-to-one call with me and I can try and help you out or point you in the right direction. It doesn't seem like there are any more questions, so I think we'll start to wrap things up. Thank you, Akshit, for the tutorial and the presentation today. It was really, really helpful, and I hope you've inspired and I'm sure you have inspired people to start building. I will firstly offer you some final closing comments.
All right. Yeah. So it was a great experience giving a tutorial over here. And if you have any other questions, you can even reach out to me or the Huddle team. You can visit the website for the contacts, or even drop in the Discord server as well. Yeah.
Awesome, perfect. And lastly, we're going to do a quick photo. If people can turn their cameras on for a little photo, that would be awesome. Or you can share your favorite emoji as a reaction. So we will take that in 5 seconds. So I'll do a quick countdown. If anyone can put their cameras on, would be perfect. Or share that emoji. 3, 2, 1. Perfect, guys. Yeah, we'll wrap things up there. Thank you for coming in, Akshit, and everyone have a great Friday. Goodbye, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks
Goodbye.
a lot.